Hi everyone, I'm David Millington, the C++ Builder Product Manager here at Embarcadero, and I'm going to be talking about C++ Builder today and tomorrow. Quick note before we get started, that's my email on the screen. Everyone is welcome to email me. It's always great to get feedback from customers, and especially about the product and what you would like to see in it. So today we're going to talk about two main things, and the first is to have a quick look at the Rad Studio roadmap, mainly focusing on Plin and its updates. And on the subject of updates, update 2 is out today, and I'll also go through that and show you what's in it. Second, then have a quick look at C++ Builder today and tomorrow, what the product provides, what the value is, and also the direction that we're going to go in future. So first of all, let's have a look at the roadmap. This is the roadmap slide that we last updated and published in August. It's worth spending some time here. We've spent a lot of time working on platform support for C++ Builder with Linux out soon, and that's coming in GODZILLA. You can also see update 2 highlighted on the screen, and that's out today, and that brings quite a few new features, including Centennial or Desktop Bridge support, quick edits, which are a new form designer feature, some new Windows 10 style components, and those are also available for other versions of Windows, and a lot of other enhancements and bug features. Looking forward to the future, we have spent a lot of time on platforms, that is expanding our C++ support to iOS and Android and soon to Linux. And that results in having C++ 11 support for Windows and iOS and Android currently. And we hear from a lot of customers that having support for some of the newer versions of C++ is important, and we understand that. And so after releasing Linux support, the plan is to then focus on upgrading our new Clang-based compilers to a newer version of Clang, getting C++ 14 and provisional C++ 17 support. And we're going to roll that out across all of our platforms over time. Most importantly, we're then also going to stay up to date so that we won't be falling behind the language standard again. So the key thing here is that we have some great strengths, which are a native code everywhere, and the great UE frameworks and great database support, and making it really easy to take an app and build it natively for multiple platforms. We get all of those and the latest C++. It's worth noting, of course, that you already have all of those still with modern C++, with C++ 11. So a couple of other notes to do with the roadmap. We're heading back towards a yearly release cycle. So in the past we had major releases every 6 months, and we've heard from many customers that that is too often. So we're going back to having a major release every year, but we're injecting multiple updates within that yearly cycle. And those updates will have new features. So they won't just be bug fixes or quality improvements, as perhaps you're all used to with our updates. They will include major new features. The updates, however, will remain binary and interface compatible within the cycle. In practical terms, the result of this is that we saw update 1 for Berlin in September, update 2 today in November, and the next major release, GODZILLA, is still a few months away. On the subject of the next major release, GODZILLA brings a C++ compiler for Linux, and that includes the RTL, the database, the web technologies, both client and server, FireDAC with the vast majority of drivers, everything that you can think of that you would need for Linux server support. The one thing it does not include is FireMonkey, that is the UE toolkit. Linux support is Linux server in this release. And of course there will be much more in the release. We're bringing some additional IDE designers, more VCL controls, and a big focus on quality. So let's have a look at C++ Builder today. So this slide is very much a marketing view of C++ Builder, but it's very accurate. We provide modern and fast C++ with 4 platforms backed by powerful UE and database frameworks, and we target enterprise and solo developer and mobile markets. So we provide fast modern C++ with an enhanced Clang compiler, and you can compile and deploy across platforms and devices. You can design a UE once and quickly specialize for each platform or device, much like subclassing code, using the multi-device designer. You can use robust and powerful frameworks for enterprise strength databases, REST, cloud, Internet of Things, and more, whether you're a team of hundreds or a micro startup. And this is one of the important things. We provide enterprise strength solutions, but we make them available to everyone. So we give you fast, powerful, modern C++ with one compiler, one debugger, one IDE, and all those platforms and all those frameworks. And that helps you speed up your development and focus on your code. With C++ Builder, you should be able to spend more time coding, less time on UI design, and no time on platform-specific porting. And you should be able to bring your app to market faster than any other C++ toolchain. This isn't just a marketing quote, it's something we actually hear very often from customers, that using C++ Builder allows them to bring a product to a market-ready stage in the time that it would take them to just develop half of a prototype using many other tools. The advantages are quite amazing. Here's a technical view of C++ Builder. So the 5 main pillars, which are modern C++ and then Clang-enhanced compilers, and of course we're focusing on these quite a lot, especially in the roadmap. The second is many platforms, and being native on all those platforms. We have great UI libraries, merging RAD and object-oriented programming. That's the VCL for Windows and FireMonkey for cross-platform. We have first-class database and data management tools and pervasive web connectivity support. So let's have a look at our C++ language support. We support modern C++ on Windows, iOS, Android, soon Linux in GODZILLA, and macOS 64 is on the roadmap as well. Currently that's C++ 11 because, as I said earlier, we've been focusing on platforms, and platforms are a strength. There is no native C++ easy platform solution for Windows, mobile, and Linux, like the C++ Builder and FireMonkey combination. It just doesn't exist. Not Visual Studio and not even Qt. So the VCL, FireMonkey, native apps, platforms, FireDAC, those things, they are all key strengths. But after Linux, we want to step up the language. We want C++ 17 and newer. And one thing that's really important to note here is that IDEA is investing in C++ Builder. You may have felt that in the past was second to Delphi. Now it is being brought up to par. So big news. 10.1 Berlin Update 2 is out. So the top link you can see there is the official page dedicated to Update 2, and Marco posted on his blog as well. We bring quite a few fantastic new features with Update 2. One of the big ones is Windows 10 Desktop Bridge or Windows Store support, also known as Centennial. That allows you to deploy your applications to a .appx file, which you can place on the Windows Store and sell. We have new calendar controls. We have a new designer feature called Quick Edits, and of course a lot of fixes and optimizations. But first of all, I have to mention what's not in Berlin Update 2. And this is some slightly disappointing news, which is that Rename Refactoring, we previewed this a couple of weeks ago. And within the past few days, actually, we had a couple of important bugs and realized that it was not release quality ready. And I posted an article on the community site which goes into more depth about this and actually explains what we encountered and the reasons that we made this decision. But we're in the situation of do we delay Update 2 or do we release with a quick fix? And we felt that it would be better to defer the feature. A strong commitment to quality in C++ Builder, and since I've joined, I really want to emphasize that. That's something I personally want to focus on, and we felt that it was better to defer it and to release it in the next release. It's slightly disappointing to have to do that, but the reasons for it are to make sure that when we do give it to you, it will be a robust and reliable, obviously release quality feature. we do have a couple of new things in C++. Obviously, we have quite a few quality fixes as well, which I think you'll be glad about. We had a slight tweak to the compiler as well. So in terms of optimization levels, optimization can be very important to C++ coders. In the Clang enhanced compilers, we only expose the O1 and O2 optimization levels. So we now offer O3, which is the highest optimization level, and that's available on the command line in Update 2. And also fast math, so if you want to benefit both from extra optimization and if you have math libraries that take advantage of fast math support, then we have that in Update 2, and of course we have quite a number of quality fixes as well. We also have quite a lot of other really good stuff in Update 2, which I want to go on and show you. The big thing is the VCL, and we are continually adding to the VCL as well as FireMonkey. And we have some additional Windows 10 style UE controls in Update 2. So they're similar to those added in 10 Seattle, and they have the same user experience of the Windows RT or sort of Windows 10 counterparts, but they don't have the dependency. They're actually native VCL controls, which means you can use them also in Windows 7 if you want. And I'll show those in a moment. And we also have some new IDE designer improvements. And of course we have general bug fixes as well as with any update. So we have two new VCL calendar controls, and they are Windows 10 styles. So we have 10 versions of these. We have tCalendar View and tCalendar Picker. And if you'll excuse me for a moment, I just need to check. Sorry about that. We have two new controls. We have the tCalendar View and tCalendar Picker. And they are both very similar, except the one is a drop-down and one is the whole sort of calendar view. And so we have some screenshots here. They're of course themable. They follow the VCL styles. And they work exactly the same way as the Windows RT controls do, both in look and feel and how you can select and what you can show and interact, right through to the animations and transitions, as you might, for example, zoom out of the month view to show a year view or something like that. So these are great controls. They're very neat, and will help as well to bring your apps towards a more modern look and feel. The inbuilt Windows 10, the inbuilt Windows calendar control, the one that's been around for quite a while, is perhaps a bit limited by today's standards, and so using these new calendar controls should give you some great stuff. Another great new feature is the Windows 10 store support. So in the Windows 10 anniversary condition, Microsoft is enabling using native apps to package them up in AppX format and distribute them for the Windows 10 store. And this was originally known as Centennial while it was in development, and now it's available in the Windows 10 Anniversary Edition, is known as Desktop Bridge. And what this allows you to do is sell your existing and new Windows 32 or 64-bit applications through the Windows 10 store. And this is fantastic. And we now support this through the IDE, so we can deploy to the AppX package format. So the Windows 10 store is currently open in preview mode for selected developers. What that means in practice is that you just need to go to Microsoft and apply to be able to do that. And I believe they're opening the store wider to everyone quite soon. And the Windows 10 store, of course, is a key part of Windows 10, and being able to package your application up and make it available inside the store, just like the iOS or Android app stores, for example, is going to be really useful. You might be able to reach millions of potential customers with your applications. So let's have a look at this. This is a screenshot of the project options, and you can see in the project group, when you have the target platforms, the screenshot there is showing 32-bit Windows, but of course it applies to 64-bit as well. You can either have normal deployment, and this is exactly what you're already used to. You build and it goes to the output folders, normally Win32 debug or Win32 release. But we have a new application store configuration. When it does that, then we actually have full deployment support. And that allows you to package up any of the files that your application relies on. That includes DLLs and BPL packages or database items or images or anything else, any files actually that you need to deploy with your application. And that will all be deployed into a single .appx package, which is ready for the Windows Store and which you can run. You can see the project options as well. Have a few settings there so that you can access the logo and things like that. And we have a few other settings scattered throughout the IDE. So this is great news. So basically all you need to do to have support for this is use the application store configuration in the project manager, and then you will build and deploy to an Apex package. We have some new Windows 10 styles as well in Update 2, both for VCL and for FireMonkey. So these follow styles that are commonly being seen on Windows 10 applications, and so we've made variations of those available in both VCL and FireMonkey versions. You can see a screenshot there on the screen. So it's a great addition to help keep your application look up to date and fit in with other Windows 10 apps. So quick edits. Now this is a great addition to the IDEs. So we have some new designers to help you work faster in the IDE. And they give you a quick way to set up forms and add controls and to edit common properties. And there are 4 new areas: to quickly set up a form, to quickly add commonly used controls and components, to attach icons and image lists to controls that use them, and to edit common properties like the caption or name and alignment and color, that kind of thing. So this is the Form Designer context menu in Temple 1 Berlin initial release on the left, and on the right is what you see in Temple 1 Berlin Update 2. And you can see there are a number of new items. So quick design form, for example, when you right click on a form, you can set up with 4 sort of templates of what a form should look like. Main form has a toolbar and stats bar, and the splitter adds a couple of panels with a vertical splitter in between, so you have a left and right splitter. And then 2 versions of dialogues, so that you have a dialogue with a panel down the bottom with an OK and cancel button, and a tab dialog which has a tab control on that as well. And the quick edits is probably the most useful or most common of these features, and is where the whole feature got its name. So there are a number of really common properties that you want to edit when you're doing form design. And so there's a screenshot here of what it looks like in practice. You right click on any control, click quick edit, and then you get access to this little floating window that pops up, and you can change its name or its caption if the control happens to have a caption. The color isn't shown on this particular screenshot, but if you have, say, a panel or any other control that has a color property, you can change that. One of the really neat things is changing the alignment and the layout. So we have some sort of visual indicators here, both for alignment and for layout, that show that you set very easily the alignment. So you can see highlighted here is A all top, and the layout such as the margins and padding. So you can very quickly get access to these features and go through all the controls you have on a form and set up how they sit together very, very easily. One thing I don't have a screenshot of in this particular presentation, but we do have up on YouTube in our preview video, is quick images. So you can quickly access like the picture property or the icon property or something else for a control that has any T-graphic property, or for controls that have image lists. So a button, for example, has an images property. A list view has 4 images properties. You can access those and you can quickly bind or connect the image list to those image properties. And we also do this for some databases work as well, so you can connect a data source, for example. So we have very quick access here to the most common properties and the most common connections that you make when you're doing form design work.
This is a bit more of a overview of C++ Builder and the technology that we have and we make available to everyone. So the VCL today is the best component library wrapping the native Windows API and the COM libraries. So this is actually especially important to note for C++, because there is no native Windows form technology out there, whereas the VCL provides you real Windows controls. They are the native Windows API controls, and of course you can write custom controls as well. So we both wrap all the common features and some uncommon ones as well, and of course we have complete access to everything under the hood. And you can have your own custom and third-party components as well. Another thing that's really useful to note for C++ is its COM support. So starting a few years ago, we took advantage of the COM support that the Delphi makes available called DAX or DAX, and you can use that from within C++ Builder as well. And COM is something that's typically not especially fun to use. If you use ATL, then you know what I'm talking about. We have a really smooth and integrated access to COM and to making classes and code classes and to consuming type libraries and that kind of thing that is much smoother than any other COM frameworks that you can find available elsewhere, and is absolutely unparalleled for something like C++ that typically has to deal with something like ATL. We also have great Windows 10 supports. We have WinRT integration, and of course the Windows Store support that we're introducing in Update 2. A lot of Windows 10 style controls. We have components that give access to some of the WinRT services. And of course we have a styling library, and this applies across both the VCL and FMX to help you modernize your UI. So we are focusing a bit on Windows 10. The reason for that, of course, is not just to keep up to date because Windows 10 is the most recent version, but also that has a very fast adoption rate for Windows and has a lot of enterprise adoption. And we want to help you migrate to that and to make your applications available for your customers who are using Windows 10. So the VCL offers the best migration path to Windows 10 because you can still retain support for the older versions of Windows, but you also get access to all the new Windows 10 features, including some of the WinRT features, as I mentioned before, as well as deploying to Apex packages to the Windows Store via the desktop bridge. So we really try to make the transitions and the compatibility that we offer in every new release absolutely seamless. And with Windows 10, we think we've done that as well. So you can take your existing applications and make them available for all of the new Windows 10 technology very easily. And of course we have our cross-platform native applications with FireMonkey. And one of the key things here is that we compile natively. This is one of our standout features. There's no sort of virtual machines or anything else that are sort of running between your application and the hardware. So we have native compilation for 4 operating systems, spanning a range of bitless of CPUs and types of CPUs, both Intel and ARM. And native gives you maximum performance and security as well. And FireMonkey component library gives you great platform components. You can write your UI once and customize it at design time. We have the multi-device designer here, which is a really neat way to create a UI once and then create versions of it for a particular device or platform. With most other, all other cross-platform technologies, there's nothing like that. You end up having to use a whole bunch of different IDEs and different languages and that kind of thing. It gets a real mess. You have to design your UI many times. And here with FireMonkey, you don't have to. You can write your UI once. You can customize it and tweak it at design time very easily. You can even preview it on the device, and you can deploy everywhere. It makes UI design much faster and much smoother. And of course, FireMonkey, even though it is a cross-platform UI library, does offer native controls as well. So native controls for Windows and for iOS. And those are fully integrated. So when you're tweaking your design, you can just set a property on a control and say, On Windows, for my Windows version of this UI, I want this particular control to be backed by the native implementation, and it will be. And that control will still exist on Android, for example. It's fantastically well integrated and very useful. And of course, we have our cross-platform runtime library and database accesses. So we've access to the file system, to threading, to the data tables, to network support, to XML and JSON, and the REST clients and everything else that we make available. And it's great stuff. So a quick word about the native controls. We currently have these available for iOS and Windows. And so we have two versions where we have the FireMonkey built control that runs on the GPU. And of course it has very smooth rendering. And you can choose for some of our controls to, instead of using the FireMonkey implementation, to use the Windows implementation. And of course that's seamless. You have your FireMonkey controls and form. It just happens that particular control is then using the native Windows backing. And so you can see the screenshot here. You have a team memo, can be styled or it can be platform, and you can see the difference in what that gives with both. And this is a result of recognizing that sometimes you need or strongly desire the native control, and of course you also need to be able to design a UI quickly for all platforms, and you want high quality controls for all platforms, and we provide both of those. So the direction we're taking this is further support of platform controls. So in Berlin Update 1, for example, we had a new grid control on iOS, and I believe that was native on iOS as well. And we want to improve the native and styling mix to offer the best flexibility and the most power. And Android Z-Order and native controls are on our roadmap. So we want to keep covering the new features that mobile platforms are offering as they come out with new versions of each operating system, and also improve our desktop support. So we have outstanding enterprise focus as well, and I especially want to mention FireDAC here with the optimized DB access that it offers. It offers all major enterprise database systems. I believe we have something like 20, 25 from memory database drivers inbuilt, and it covers every database that you can think of. And it includes as well NoSQL databases like MongoDB. So if you want a great database framework, FireDAC has you covered. And as well as the enterprise service architecture, so we have a bunch of REST APIs and RAD server. And as I mentioned right at the beginning, we're using the term enterprise strong development and enterprise strong. So we make this available to our enterprise customers, and we have a lot of people who are using these things and finding them very easy. But of course, just because something is enterprise strong doesn't mean it's targeted only at enterprises. We want to give everyone this technology. So that's why we call it enterprise strong. Everyone, from solo developers up, has access to these frameworks and these tools. So of course, when we have Linux server support, we bring FireDAC to Linux. Plus, of course, we'll have driver improvements and support for the latest databases. RAD server, I'm going to focus on that in just a second. But we're planning multi-tenancy and JavaScript clients. And then for data snap and REST and HTTP and cloud, we have a great focus on quality there and improving that. The latest addition there is the platform-based HTTP client library. So if you want to use HTTP in your application, we have a library there that is backed by the native OS-provided HTTP system, which we think is fantastic. So a few words here on RAD server. So RAD server is a backend for C++ builder applications, and there's a question about what that means. So this is a slide that we typically show indicating there's a ready-to-use backend for RAD Studio applications. It gives you REST endpoint publishing, gives you integration middleware, and gives you application services. But the question is, what is that? What does that mean? And what that means is that you can take existing code, your existing application, and easily make it a server or REST backend. So if you want to make a web client, if you want to make a web application, and you have a desktop application, you might be considering that that would be a huge job. How do you do it? Well, the answer to how you do it is you take your existing desktop application and you package up the existing technology that you have in a package, in a BPL, and you give that BPL to RAD server along with instructions on how to consume that and how to expose that in terms of making it a REST backend. And voila, you have an application that now provides your REST and JSON services to which you can write a light client front end in anything that can consume REST or JSON. And this is a really useful thing. It means you can take your existing code that you've probably been working on for years and make it available as a web service easily. And Nick Hodges, who recently joined Embarcadero as the product director, has a great blog post from perhaps a week ago that is meant to illustrate what it can do for you. So if you're curious about RAD server, or if you're thinking that you really need to bring your application to the web to make some kind of client for that online, then RAD server is definitely the thing to look at. And I think that reading something like Nick's blog post really communicates how it works and the advantages it can offer very well. And so this is another slide that we typically use when discussing RAD server. And so basically it shows how RAD server itself works. I don't think this really shows integrating your existing code, but it lets you deploy your existing code and then you expose that to RAD server. So you create endpoints. And of course you can then integrate your databases. You can have application services such as users and control rules. And you can deploy it on Windows Server or on the cloud. And of course, with Linux support coming soon, RAD server will be available there as well. And of course, you can manage your APIs, manage your users, and that kind of thing. So this shows all the functionality it has. And what I wanted to show with the previous slide is the advantages that it gives. The way you can take what you already have and plug it into a server. And that's really useful. And then, of course, you can build the client, and you can do that in anything that can consume REST or JSON. So you could, if you wanted, redesign your desktop application to consume REST and JSON and use the VCL and FireMonkey as well. Or you could continue using your existing desktop and just make it, take advantage of exposing part of that through a package to the server. So that's a summary of where we are now and what we're offering and where we're looking to go in the future as well. So why C++ Builder? Well, you deliver applications faster. So you get fast development, and of course that means with the UE as well. VCL and FireMonkey are great UE frameworks, but of course the other components and libraries that we provide as well, something like FireDAC, for example, is a very powerful database framework, but we have our own way of designing these things, and we focus a lot on being able to do something fast and robustly at the same time. FireDAC is a great example there. It is a very powerful database framework, but it is also easier to use and faster to get started with than other database frameworks out there. So you get fast development with solid architectures. We see customers coming to us that are creating applications that are ready and deployed in the time it takes people just to create a light mock-up or framework using other technology. And this is something we really want to stress, and we want to encourage you to take advantage of. And you can do this very fast. 5 times the speed is something that we've seen, and across multiple operating systems, as desktop and mobile, server on Windows Server, of course, and Linux Server is coming soon. And across the cloud and database platforms, and we do all this natively as well, natively compiled and optimized. So C++ Builder 10.1 Berlin. This is a glance of everything we're offering right now. We have a new installer, the Get-It-All feature-based installer. That is incredibly fast to use. Just as an anecdote here, of course, as we've been bringing out both update 1 and update 2, all of us, and me included, have been sort of uninstalling and reinstalling all our builds all the time. And the feature installer is amazing. Just gets it done fast. It's fantastic. So I would encourage you to make sure that you install using the Get It feature installer. One thing to note here is that if you're installing the update, you should keep using the same technology, installer technology that you were using when you first installed Berlin. If you installed with the old installer-ware installer, then you should upgrade with the new the installer-ware installer as well. But if you have the opportunity, I strongly recommend that you use the new feature-based installer. And when native, we have native compiler, we have native libraries, FireMonkey and VCL. They're all, VCL is native controls, FireMonkey is cross-platform and compiles natively and exposes native controls. We have native Windows 10 support. We have mobile, we have modern C++, and we're focusing heavily on our C++ future. The Internet of Things, of course, we have quite a lot of a vast number actually of Internet of Things components there with ThingWare and ThingConnect and ThingPoints and support a vast number of devices. We are focusing a lot on the QPS triad, the quality, performance and stability throughout the entire product. One thing I've mentioned is that Update 2 brings a lot of new features, and that's the result of our new development model where we are bringing out new features in updates periodically throughout the year. But we are remaining to focus heavily on the quality of the product as well, and we have a lot of bug fixes and improvements in Update 2. Developer productivity, I spoke about this at length quite a bit, but we really focus on productivity and what our tools let you do fast. One thing to notice here actually is a fairly new feature is the FireUI app preview. So when you're designing your mobile UI, you can actually see live what that looks like on the device. And we have a floating form designer as well. A sort of long-standing request has been to bring back separating the form design from the code for that same unit, and you can do that now. In fact, if you're using multiple monitors, we have much better support now for moving your IDE across lots of monitors, and you're having form design on one and coding on another, and lots of toolbars and tool panels everywhere. So if you're someone who likes developing with multiple monitors, then check out what we offer now and the IDE features for letting you do that. And of course, we're enterprise strong with the FireDAC database access, with RAD server, with the REST services, with the cloud services, and that kind of thing. So what about more C++ Builder developers? Well, we have a new academic initiative. That is, we're giving C++ Builder away to schools for free. And so if you happen to have contacts at schools, or if you are a student, or if you work at a school, contact us. We have a new academic program, and we really want to encourage both students and teachers to use C++ Builder in your school or in your university. Currently, we have started a 100% discount. That is, where we're giving C++ Builder Starter Edition away to non-professionals for free. So take advantage of that. If you're not a professional, if you're not part of a company that, but you want to try out C++ Builder, then do that. And being starter is also good for startups. So our license actually lets you use it as well. If you want to start making an application and sort of bootstrap your company, then you can do that. We have a revenue clause that you can use it completely for free until you start making a certain amount of revenue. So it's a great thing to get started, both get started in terms of bootstrapping your company, or get started in terms of learning. Of course, we have a number of new marketing initiatives which we hope you've seen as well. And we'd like to encourage you to, when you see something like that, spread it around, forward it on, retweet, that kind of thing. Most importantly here, we want you, So we need more C++ MVPs and more buzz in the C++ community, especially with Linux coming soon, especially with the power of FireMonkey and FireDAC versus some of the more well-known things like Qt and Visual C++. Those are good solutions, and we respect them. But we feel that we offer something that is stronger and more native, and that if more developers knew about, they would want to use. And so we'd really like you to help us out here, to spread the buzz about that kind of thing, to be active in the wider C++ community, whether that's in C++ groups on Google+, whether that's C++ discussions on I don't know, Reddit, for example, in the local user groups, on Stack Overflow, on C++ tags, and all that kind of thing that's visible. And if you want to be an MVP, if you really like C++ Builder and you want to actually help us here and become a most valued professional and part of our program, we can help you out in return through what we offer you through the MVP program. So contact us. We have an MVP link. Also, if you know someone that you can nominate as an MVP, if you know someone who is an expert and you want to suggest someone, please do that. So, thank you. And now we'll open for questions. So I saw quite a few questions come in while speaking. So long doubles are tricky in the C++ specification. Long doubles is actually slightly implementation defined. So it is defined as being the size of a double or possibly greater if the hardware allows for it or if the compiler allows for it. So when you use a long double, the only guarantee is that you have that it's 64-bit, just like a double. And on Windows 32-bit, using the old classic compiler, we used the floating point unit, which has been around since, I believe, the 486 days for our floating point support, which of course is quite slow, given that there's the sort of old technology there. But it did support long double as an 80-bit double. And what we do with our new compilers is that, given that the FPU is quite old, we are using the new modern instructions that you make available in CPUs. We want to help you target modern CPUs and use modern instructions. We want to give you fantastic performance. And by the way, I have another CodeRage session here, just very quickly looking at the advantages of the Clang compilers. It's only 10 minutes long, but attend that if you can. It'll be in one of the lightning talks. But when you're using the SSE or SSE2 or other instructions like that for floating point, long double becomes 64-bit, the same as double. So the question here is, what advantages does long double being 80-bit give you? And it gives you a little bit more precision. There are only two situations where this usually applies, and those are to do with exponentiation, I believe. But typically what happens is that people will use a double and realize that they're not getting enough precision and want to use a long double because it has a few extra bits. And long double may help you a bit here, but there's actually no guarantee that you won't still run into the same problem. And so looking to use long double to solve precision problems is probably actually the wrong solution. If you're running into precision problems and you're doing math where you're running into specific precision things, or where you want a specific known degree of precision, then you probably want to look into other libraries. So there are a great number of C++ libraries that give you known fixed precision, usually using a form of fixed point. So basically the answer here is that long double is 64-bit when you take advantage of the new architectures, like as the new Clang compilers do. Like, they give you a massive speed up with that. And that follows the C++ spec. That if you're wanting to use long double for reasons of precision, it may help you there in some cases, but there's no guarantee. So you might be using it and thinking it solves the problem, but it actually might not. So it's actually not the best approach to that. And if you're using long double and the reason for that is actually that you want specific amounts of precision, then look into using math that gives you a guarantee about precision. So that was actually a very long answer to a short question, so sorry for that. I should get on to some of the other questions now. This would be a very interesting thing to do a talk or blog post on, actually, and of course you can always email me, or also there's the Google Plus C++ Builder Developers Group and our own community and things like that, and those are great places to post about that kind of thing. So I can see a few other questions here.
Yeah, there's a question about Boost. What platforms does Boost currently support?
All of them. So we support, well, the platforms we support currently are Windows, of course, on the various business, but Windows, macOS, iOS, Android, and Linux coming soon. So we support Boost on all of those, and we will have Boost for Linux as well when that's released. For the Clang-based compilers, we support Boost 1.55, and we are looking to upgrade that in future, but 1.55 is a pretty good version of Boost. For the old classic compiler, so that's Windows 32-bit if you're not using the Clang 32-bit compiler, and our current macOS support, and of course we have macOS 64 support planned, then we have Boost 1.39. But yes, we have Boost on all our platforms, I believe. I can see the question here says that it's not currently installed for macOS and iOS, so that makes me doubt myself. I'm going to have to go and double check, but I'm pretty sure that we support it on those platforms. We definitely want to. I mean, Boost is very useful. If you're seeing it not installed on macOS or iOS, perhaps drop me an email or contact support.
So any word on Android services for C++ Builder?
A little. We know that there's a high demand for it, and it's definitely something that's on the roadmap. I can't promise you a specific version until we actually release that for obvious reasons. Occasionally something can go wrong with it at the last minute, and I don't want to promise to people that something's coming in a particular version. But we know that you want it, and we are going to, well, we are actively working on that.
So there's a question here about the RAD server licensing, and what a site is according to licensing. Is that a geographically dispersed cluster, or is that only one location? Or should they contact sales for that?
That's a good question. I'm not certain I know the answer about that. Sorry, unless Jim happens to be in the studio at the same time.
No, he's in room one.
He's in room one? Right.
Contact
Sure.
sales.
Yeah.
So there's a question here about vector is the workhorse container of STL. When we'll be able to use the debugger to examine or change elements of a vector by simply specifying the vector and the index.
Well, I'm not sure what problems you're seeing there. Are they platform specific or something like that? You should be able to do that. One thing we are looking at is strongly improving our debugger, and so that comes in a number of ways, like both the back end and also the front end. So how sort of smart the debugger is about being aware of data structures like a vector. So we're actually looking into stuff like that. If you have specific use cases or something that you run into commonly that you think we should support and make easy, drop me an email and we'll look into that.
So a follow-up question about the long double. He's wondering, can you find the libraries for the long double for Win64 and Android to solve that?
We'd be looking for most likely fixed point math libraries, and I know there are quite a few. I don't have a browser open right now because the current laptop is dedicated to this broadcast session, but there are quite a few available. One thing I might do actually is write a blog post about this in future, but you should be able to find a reasonable number just searching, and what I actually recommend would be to post on, say, some of the Google Plus C++ groups. So we have our C++ Builder Developers group or our C++ community group on Embarcadero.com. There's also a very active C++ community on Google+, and so post on one on there if you want recommendations. Many other people, of course, will also be using your long double, but have found that it goes to 64-bit once they use SSE or SSE2 instructions. So plenty of other people will have encountered this and be able to give recommendations as well.
also take a look at doresearch.com. It has a various math libraries. I'm not sure about which platforms they support, but take a look at that for the long double issue.
So I can see a few other questions appearing in the question log.
So I was wondering,
A question. Sorry, go ahead, Eli.
Extended 80 rect in both Win32 and Win64, if that would make it easier.
To be honest, I'm not certain about that. I was looking into this a while ago. We do have the extended data type, but again on 64-bit, and for playing that goes to a 64-bit size, not an 80-bit size. I would have to double-check what happens with the T-extended 80 rec, but I suspect that's aliasing for long double only on Win32. I would have to look that up to give a strong answer there.
All right, so looking at these other questions here, lots of questions about the long double.
Well, I want to emphasize here that we're following what the industry does here, and we're giving you the optimizations in modern CPUs, and the modern CPUs are built around 64-bit floating point. And so the speed increments, of course, that you get using SSC or SSC2 instructions are very big. And like I said, I have lightning talk that touches on this as well. So that means, first of all, that what we're doing does follow the standards for what everyone else is doing. And second, that if this is an issue for you, other people will have been there before, and there are solutions out there.
And so does that also work on Android for the double?
I'd have to. I believe the double size on our Android is 64-bit as well. Yes, and the advantage of many of these math libraries is that they don't have specific platform dependencies, and so you can pull one in and use it across all the platforms.
All right. Well, thanks, David. It looks like it's 9 o'clock.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone. And if you have any further questions, my email is up on screen. Thanks again.
Thanks.